Brain Bank TV, and this is a very unusual video. Well, not unusual, but it's the first of many that will be coming onto the channel over the next few years and foreseeable future going forward. So today, part of what I've been embarking on over the last few years is getting into the craft side of the e-commerce business and growing that side of my business. So today I'm going to share with you one of the few things I've learned over the last few years, which is using adhesive vinyl. Now today I'm going to be showing you how to use adhesive vinyl by applying that onto a bit of wood and also a little bit of coaster that you could use for a drink on a summer day. Alright, so we'll be moving over to the craft side, and I'll be showing you the material that we're going to be using today. So we're going to be using this bit of coaster here. As you can see, I don't know if you can see that very well. Can you see that? Yeah, so a bit of coaster that we're going to use and put something on that. We've also got this bit of wood which has been painted white, which would have the black adhesive vinyl attached to it. Now also, beforehand I prepped the artwork which is on the screen currently. I'm going to get the machine set up, we'll get the vinyl cut out, I'll show you what we're going to use, and then we can get cracking with it and hopefully produce a bit of beautiful artwork using these bits of materials or substrate. So what do we need? We need the adhesive vinyl, which is this black bit of shiny thing here, you can see. So I'm going to put that onto the table, and then we need the backing, which is the sticky side, which is what we're going to use to do the application process, all right, onto the substrate. So that's what these two bits are going to be used for today. I'm going to put these two over here also. Hopefully this video will be nice and short, so we can get going with this. So I'm going to get the cry cut machine turned on. Just give me a second. Get this bad boy turned on. There we go, you can hear it purring. You can hear it purring. Right. So, what we do now, we need to get the material cut out. And these have been measured perfectly, so I think the wood's about 10 inches wide. So the artwork's going to be within the 10-inch frame, so around 9 inches across, and then we're going to do it about 2 and a bit inches. So that's what we're going to do. And for the coaster, we're leaving the design at around 3 inches by 1.5 inches to fit on the coaster here. So that's what we're going to be cutting out onto. So the next step to the process is obviously these come in rolls. If you buy them in the standard sizes, sometimes they come in rolls like this, which can be a bit of a pain, especially with adhesive vinyl, because they quite easily come off the back end side of the vinyl. So what we're going to do is try and just get a bit cut out that we actually need to do the work that we're trying to do today. All right, so I'm just going to cut out a little section of this. Very difficult to move these things because it's in a round shape. Just put it this way. There we go. So I'll cut out a little piece of this. As you can see, there's a bit of what would you call this? A little bit of a crease on it, sorry, because of the, I don't know if you can see that from the camera, there's a little bit of a crease on the vinyl because of the fact that it comes rolled up basically. So yeah, so now that I've got a piece of what I need, the next thing is trying to get this bad boy on the actual cutting mat so we can get this cut out. Alright, so I'm going to move these two to the side, like that. Just going to try and measure this a bit so I can cut out exactly what I need. Alright. too long to go on the cutting mat, so I'm just going to reduce the size of this a bit. Okay. Put that to the side. Is that still too long? Just. Right, we're gonna make do with that anyway. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay it across rather than lengthwise. Still creases on this one. That way we can get all of it onto the mat and try and get the creases out. Alright? Yeah, so I've got the one piece out for the bit of wood. The next piece I'm going to put on is going to be for the coaster. That's why it's slightly smaller. So I'm going to get this. It should fit fine. I'm just going to find somewhere. It doesn't really matter where you place it on the cutting mat, because you can always readjust the positioning of the artwork on the actual Art design software, or design space as they call it. So I'm just going to try and get the creases off of the adhesive vinyl that I'm laying down here to get cut out. Because the creases just make it a bit of a headache when it's trying to cut. You don't want to see those creases, so get those bubbles out. Alright, that's perfect. Now, what you should have is 2 bits of vinyl cutouts on the cutting mat, nicely set on the cutting mat without any creases on it, so the cutter can go through that very nicely without any issues. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is feed that through onto the Cut machine. But first we need to get the settings on here. So on the screen, what we're going to do, we're going to make both of these. And because it's adhesive vinyl, and because we're going to be using the tape, right? The tape, I don't actually know what the term for this is, but this is the transfer tape, I'll call it. Transfer tape. This is the transfer tape that we'll be using to apply the vinyl onto the substrate, right? So now that I've got the app open, I'm just gonna rotate this a bit, because obviously the way we've arranged it on the actual mat is diagonally or horizontally. Vertically, sorry. Vertically. I don't know my up from down. Right. So that looks about right. Where do we have that? So from 1 to 12. So I think I need to change the size of the mat here that I'm using. What we have is the 12 by 24, so I'm going to make that bigger. And then flip this again. Bring that down so it's around 1 to 12, was it? Yes, about 1 to 12. Right, and then we have the other one between 6 and 10. So that's about right. 4 across. That's fine. I'm just going to rotate this anyway. To get the space in there. Just put it there. Right. Right, so we've aligned the vinyl artwork onto the cut and mat virtual look on the Crack Cop design studios. So once we've done that, the next thing to do is to select the base material. For me, I'm going to be using normal premium vinyl settings here on the Crack Cop design space. And then it says here the second step is to load the tray. You can see the little arrow flickering on here. I'm just going to align this again properly and then feed that right through. Just get this out a bit. Now, let the magic begin. Just one thing to note, guys, just before this finishes, it starts rolling out. Sometimes you will get situations like this here where you can see it's not quite, it's lost a bit of the cutout because of how small the lines are on the actual, the font that's been used. So do be aware of that. Right, so we had a bit of a disaster class. We've basically managed to mess up a bit of the writing a bit because these adhesive vinyls, they can be a little bit fidgety to deal with, so do bear that in mind if you're planning to sort of play around with these things. So we've managed to get rid of the S here. So it's meant to read it's 1 o'clock somewhere, and it says it 1 o'clock, right? So that's why we've got this out here. We've cut this it's out. That will then be attached to the rest of this once it's then added to the substrate. So that's what we've got there. We've also made a bit of an issue here as well. We've ended up with just Rianne because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you've got to be very careful when you're creating these artworks and making sure that the font size doesn't get too micro small, because when it does, very, very difficult to weed and keep in place, which makes it impossible to kind of get the finished look that you were trying to go for. So make sure that you have that in mind when you're trying to create the artwork. And so basically what we're going to be doing is going with Rianne instead of what it was meant to say was reserved for Rianne, with the reserved for very small, but that isn't going to work. So we've ended up with just Rianne, so that's what we're going to be putting on the coaster. And then we've got It's 1 o'clock, which we're going to be doing a bit of a DIY job on with 2 bits of vinyl cutouts, right? So the next thing you see here on the table is what I've done is I've cut out from the application transfer tape. What we've done is we've cut out some sizes of it, which is kind of equivalent to what you have here for the size of the actual vinyl cutout for each of these. So that's what I'm going to be doing next, is applying the vinyl onto the application tape. All right, so that's what we're going to do now, and we're going to see how we can get on with this really, really quick. So there is a bit of a technique to this. Normally you want to pinch, just pinch the end of the, sticky tape, because you want to separate it from the back end. But whilst you do that, you want to also be able to apply this with minimal effort. Right, so what I normally do is I get a bit of it spread apart like that. There's a bit of a technique to this. You want to get one end and line it up perfectly to where you want the actual vinyl to be. Once you've done that, as you can see, stuck on, then you just want to peel the back end of this whilst you're kind of sliding your artwork onto the sticky tape, and then you end up with this, which is the sticky side. As you can see from the end there, you get the sticky side as well as the artwork onto that. Now we're going to play around with this a bit because we need to scrape it down like so. Now actually what I normally do is I scrape from the back end. So again, I want to pitch one end and separate the application tape from the back end. This is a little fidgety toe. Right, once you've done that, again, get the Y shape going. See that? Perfect little Y shape. See that little bird fly away. And then, again, we want to line up our artwork. And then we want to stretch it out. This one's slightly bigger than the actual artwork that we've got here. So again, we want to turn this around, put it face down, and then give it that nice bit of force to make sure we can get this baby off very, very easily with no stress. Right? That's what we're going to do. Now we should have 3 bits of artwork. Well, it should have been 2, but we've got 3 because obviously we made a bit of a mess with the wording on the it's here. So we've made up for it by making a different it's, which we're going to apply secondary once we're done. Now we've got Rian instead of reserved for Rian. But anyway, we've got to keep it rolling, so that's what we're going to do here because we're running out of time. So just going to give this a little bit more force, apply some pressure, let that gym day pay off, right? That's what we're going to do. Once you've done that, do the next one. Again, I'm just being a little bit excessive here because I've had some issues getting these off in the past, so I really don't like taking a chance anymore with these. Some people just put it down once and they can get it off really easily. So what I'm going to do now is pick this up and try and separate the artwork from the back end, and the end goal and the end result here is to have the artwork remain on the actual reflective transfer tape that we've got stuck on here, right? So that's what we're going to do now. So I like to go from the bottom up like as normal, and then that way there's less force for it to resist staying on the actual reflective back end here. So we're just going to take this slowly and hopefully this works perfectly, please, today. Doesn't always work, but looks like we're on a roll here. Look at that. And we've got the Rian right here on our reflective transfer tape, and that's the result we're going for here. So let's go on to the second one. That was quite smooth. I don't know if applying all that pressure made it very smooth, but anyways, on to the next one. And here we're using the it's. Is this gonna work? Is it gonna work? Yes, it is. And there we go. We've got the it's, the budge job it's. Now we're moving on to it's 1 o'clock somewhere, right? So again, turn it upside down. We wanna have the bit with least resistance, basically. That's the idea here. That's why we're doing it this way, because that way you get the area with less resistance. And look at this sucker. Let me not jinx it just yet. What's happening here? Oh, is the paper really that strong? I don't know, guys. Oh, look at that. There's something going on here. I think I applied a little bit too much force, because what we have here shouldn't be happening, but I'm sure we could make this work. And the idea would be to try and get some of this paper off somehow. There we go. I think I applied a little bit too much pressure because I kind of got the paper stuck on it. But we're all good. And it looks like we're coming on to close to the end here. And there we have it. So you should have 3 bits of artwork, or in a perfect world, a 2-bit artwork project here going, which you can see here, all 3 of them lined up. And now we're going to try and apply this onto the substrates. Now I'm going to start with a little coaster because it's a lot easier to handle this right here. Just move this all across, put this baby down. I'm going to try and centralize this without too much. That looks central to me. I'm just going to give this a little squidgy. And hopefully what we'll end up with at the end of this is a nice bit of lovely coaster. Should be good. Oh, maybe not. I think I need a little bit more force. Hopefully that's enough this time. Just gotta be very careful here. Now we have a nice coaster that says Rianne. Hope you guys can see that very well. Alright, so we've got a nice lovely coaster. As you can see, I get a cup. Don't have a cup, I've got a film right here. Alright, so we've added the second part of the lettering that we messed up earlier. We've added it to the woodwork here, and then what I'm going to do is just try and get this off now. So just apply some pressure again, make sure the vinyl stays onto the material that we're using here. And hopefully that should be more than enough pressure to make sure that this stays. Now again, just gonna grab the end, try and just work the letters. And there you have it. Right. Hopefully that looks good. That's the woodwork, and also we've got the bit of coaster here. Right, and hopefully that looks nice enough. There's a lot of applications for this adhesive vinyl. Now, just a quick note before we go, I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a big difference between the types of adhesive vinyls you can get. You can get the permanent types of adhesive vinyls, which I guess have the permanent kind of application glue to the back end of it, which means it kind of stays where it's applied to for a longer period of time without destruction, right? So, and then you get the other kind of vinyl, which isn't permanent, you could use for most sort of internal use, home uses or anything like that. But yeah, that's where we're going to leave it today, guys. Hopefully this is a little bit of value to you. Thank you guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and this is General James. Goodbye.